Hello and welcome back to the Titans of Foodservice Podcast. Nick Portillo here. As always, thank you for joining me on another episode. I really, truly appreciate it. Today, I welcome the co-founder and CEO of Everydoor, Jordan Tetrick. Jordan started Everydoor just about 2 years ago. And today in our conversation, we do a deep dive into how his company is solving a lot of problems for food brands. You're going to find it very fascinating, and it's bringing the food industry into the digital age and finding ways to help brands be more efficient, be more practical, and overall probably save some dollars along the way. So let's go ahead and jump right into it and welcome Jordan. All right, Jordan, welcome to the Titans of Foodservice Podcast. I'm so glad you decided to join me here today. I've been looking forward to our conversation. I know you and I have chatted quite a bit in the past and looking forward to sharing your story with the world. So thank you for joining me.
Nick, it's an honor to be here.
Of course.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So why don't we start off with, with all the guests that I have come on, I start off with the real basics of how did you get started? So let's go there first. How did you get into the food industry?
I got in the food industry right out of college. I happen to have an older brother, Josh, who founded a company called Eat Just. And when I graduated college, he was at the very early stages of founding Eat Just. And he needed folks on the ground doing whatever needed to be done. And I happily raised my hand. So I flew out to San Francisco from the East Coast and got to work. And I'd be lying to you if I would say if anything I was doing off the bat was glamorous. It was everything from grocery shopping for the chefs to taking out the garbage to washing dishes, really just getting in there, doing whatever needed to be done. And then, as we started to get some customers, we needed to do demos. We needed to get our products in the mouths of consumers and tell our stories. And I raised my hand. And I'd say that was the best thing I could have ever done. I spent the next year at Whole Foods, at Costco, wherever we were selling our products, and day in and day out demoing. Usually it was Just Mayo, our product at the time, to consumers walking by who had no idea who we were, somehow getting them to try this plant-based mayo that we had launched and telling them our story, our why, and hopefully convincing them to buy a jar of Just Mayo. And really that sparked my love for sales. That sparked my love for storytelling for a brand. And from there started to get into retail sales, calling on natural customers, then into regional, then into national, and then started to play in the food service space too. So got in very early with Eat Just because my brother and really found my area within sales and touched on everything from retail to food service to Canada to South Korea. So that's really how I got my start.
That. South Korea, man, that's pretty cool. Before joining your brother, had you even held a full-time job prior to that?
Full-time job, the closest thing to that may have been a personal trainer or a baseball coach. But until that, man.
Did you play baseball in college?
Yeah. I did. I had the opportunity to play baseball in college. Wasn't good enough to go further than that, but was
nice,
amazing.
Man. Where'd you go to school?
I jumped around a little bit. Out of high school, I went to a junior college because I wanted to go that route for baseball. So it was a small school in West Virginia. And then I jumped around to a school in Jersey City, and then finally to Florida International in Miami.
Nice.
I've been all over the map.
I too took the baseball route, and I went to Chapman University, which is a small private school here in Orange County, and we're Division III. And when I was there, we weren't any good, but it was a fun. I only played my first 2 years, and then after my second year, I said, you know what, I'm going to do a trip to Florence, Italy. So I did study abroad for about 4 or 5 months, and when I was there, I was like, I really enjoy the freedom here. I've played baseball and had that structure my whole life. And I think I'm ready for the last 2 years to not have that. And, I wasn't getting, as being a Division III, I wasn't getting paid to play baseball, in terms of a scholarship. So it was time. And I felt like I was like, I lived my college dream of playing in college, and it's time to go out. I want to go out on my own terms. So but it was a fun journey.
Good for you. It's a tough decision.
It's a hard thing to let go.
It's a tough decision, but yeah, sure is. Sure is. Get emotional when you're thinking about
exactly. A lot of great learnings from that experience, but everything does happen for a reason. And for me,
for sure.
I think all of the learnings I had from baseball helped me in the food service industry, starting a company with my dad. And what was it like working with family? What was it like working with your brother?
Yeah, my brother holds a lot of positions for me. Not only is he my brother, not only for most of my career has he been my boss, he's my hero. So being able to work with him it's like working with Batman. You get to be alongside of someone and learn from them day in and day out. And it was a dream. I am the entrepreneur I am today because of my brother. So being able to do that was really special. Something I really cherish.
What are some of the qualities or characteristics that he has as an entrepreneur that you think has made him as successful as he's become?
He is a machine. He is laser locked focused on what he wants to accomplish, and that's changing the world, changing the global food system. And he's laser locked on that, and he won't stop until he does it. He is grit. If you look in the definition, it's his picture. It says Josh Tetrick. Get to know him because that's grit. And I think anything that he's accomplished today and will continue to accomplish is because he has a fire inside of him that will not go out. And he is gritty as all hell. And when one door closes, he'll find another crack to go even further.
Awesome. That is really cool. When you and him joined forces, how old was his company at that point?
He had just raised initial seed, and at that very early stages of Eat Just it was a prototype. It was the idea was removing eggs from baked goods. Honestly, that was the very first concept of Eat Just. And so he just raised a little bit. He hired a couple chefs. And then he brought me on. And if he were talking today, he'd say I was his longest standing intern for over a year. I think then I was promoted to what was called general employee at the time.
General employee.
So it was in true startup fashion, man. It was get done what needs to get done, put your head down, do good work, and help build a company that everyone's pushing to make happen.
I remember my very first title that I held, probably for about 6 years, was operations/sales. That was my title. So anybody got my card?
That's right. There you go.
I do everything. I'm kind of the janitor. I'm kind of the sales guy. I'm kind of whatever.
It's funny, like going back to we were talking about baseball. More athletes I found really get that if you need to be a utility player, you're on the roster. You're on the team. If you need to just shag balls for one season, then do it because that's what needs to be done. I think no one has the expectations of joining a team and starting batting cleanup and being the ace from day one. You gotta work. And I tell my friends that all the time of wanting to get into the space, wanting to really build a career, get into the ground floor, a scrappy startup, and do whatever needs to be done.
Definitely.
Have your pride, at the front door, and
absolutely. It's definitely starting your own business. It's definitely you can't have that plan B. You got to be all in and take a lot of risk and put yourself 100%. Out there. You might be embarrassed if it doesn't work, and it's a scary venture. You assume all the risk, but you get a good portion of the reward too if it does work out.
100%.
When you guys were just starting out, when was this, and was plant-based even a category at that point in time?
Oh man, this was said in 2000. I want to say
Okay.
14, 2013, 14, something around there. Uh, Plant-based. That term wasn't being floated around. It was vegan,
Okay. Yeah.
and vegan, especially back then, meant this isn't going to taste good. This is only for hippies in San
Hmm.
Francisco, and this is going to be wildly expensive. So, when we were first started to really target consumers, whether that was a demo at Whole Foods or running ads on Facebook, we would never
Yeah.
use that term, because what Eat Just still does to this day is it doesn't matter if it's plant based, if it's vegan, whatever it is, we're going to blow your mind because this product is delicious. It's wildly sustainable, and it's at a place and a price that
Hmm.
you can afford.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Really, when we were at the beginning stages, vegan was very much a word which we tried to avoid, just to not alienate ourselves, not put ourselves in a box that would be pretty
Yeah,
hard to get out
totally.
of.
And when my
Yeah.
dad and I, when we started our business back in, we started in 2015, and it was just him and I.
Yeah.
We, were very limited on capital, and
Yeah.
putting the life savings of our family on the line. But we found a
Yep.
lot of times when we interview for a new manufacturer client, people were scared of the new guy or new guys. They were scared to make a change. And so it was a lot of touch base with me in 6 months to
Sure.
see if you're still there. But every 6 months we would get better and better and
Sure.
better. And even to this day, where we were 6 months ago
Mm.
is not the same as we are today, or where we'll be in 6 months from now. It's kind of that constant evolution, but it's not an easy business. It's not easy to do that. And
What it not 100%, man. I mean, we can. I'll touch on the baseball theme all
yeah,
podcast long, but what Billy Beane say in Moneyball? Adapt or
that's
die.
right.
You got to keep growing,
That's
got to
right.
keep moving, especially in this space that we're all in.
I'm in a business organization, and it's called Entrepreneurs Organization, and we do something called a 5% share. So it's
Mm.
sharing like the 5%, like the most uh, emotionally complex issues in the month. So it's like the really good 5% and
Okay.
then like the really bad 5%. What would be a 5%
Interesting.
share or something that you took away from your time at Eat Just where you said, you know what, this was a moment where it challenged me greatly, and this is what happened because of it?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially early on, um, resources, to that a lot of larger CPG brands have of running national ad campaigns and spending, wild amount of dollars on slotting and everything that goes into bringing a CPG brand to life, especially within retail. We a lot of times didn't have
Right.
access to. So you had to find ways of gaining momentum, that really challenged the status quo of how things are done. That could have been everything from um, creating a groundswell of consumer demand to really show retailers and food service operators that plant-based eggs were something that
Mm-hmm.
folks wanted. You can imagine very early on. I mean, we're talking about Eat Just here, the leaders of plant-based eggs. You go to Pete's Coffee today and you may think, man, that's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't there be
Right.
plant-based eggs? But, when we first launched it, people looked at us like we're crazy. Who on earth would ever want a plant-based egg? And we had to show them that, what, we hear from consumers all day long about how much they want it. They want to buy it in stores. They want to buy it in restaurants. So we literally had to come up with ways of showing our demand before, we could really show them velocity data, like most companies would have access to. We created campaigns to show our work.
That's awesome. That's way cool.
Yeah.
So now, current day, what are you up to?
Yeah. Yeah. Proudly, I have jumped all in on my entrepreneurial journey. And as I mentioned earlier, my brother is
Yeah.
my hero. And as you can imagine, looking up to someone who's a phenomenal entrepreneur, you're one day thinking, man, when do I get to take my swing at being a founder as well? And it's been over a year and a half.
Wow.
I'm proud to say that the proud founder of a company called Everydoor. We are challenging the status quo of how CPG brands sell today. One of the biggest things that I learned in my time at eJust was in the world of a CPG brand, whether you're big into retail, big into food service, or both, you are spending so much time collecting information, sending out information, telling your story in a way that's authentic to you. And the tools that brands have today are not efficient. They're not optimized for what needs to be done. They were built decades ago in a time where people are, walking in, selling with a briefcase and a folder of printed, one pagers. That is just not how business is done for the majority today. And Everydoor is helping brands stand out, get more efficient, and really do more with less.
Let's drive down a little bit deeper into that. What does it look like when a brand works with you? What are the deliverables that you provide to them?
Yeah, our hero feature today is what we call a dynamic sell sheet. So going back to my times at eJust, and I know it's the case in food service too, the first introduction to our brand, whether it be from our internal team, from our broker, from a distributor, most of the time is a sell sheet. It's that one pager. That's what that customer is essentially going to evaluate whether they're interested in this product line or not. At eJust, we constantly had to update it. We constantly had to add new products, new codes, new dimensions, new ways of telling our story. And because of the way information flows today in the space, old versions got out into the wild and they were never updated. So we'd find that customers would have versions of our sell sheets from 6 months ago with old products and old codes and old images. So our dynamic sell sheets is, think of, instead of a PDF that's stagnant, that doesn't tell your story, that goes out of date, we've created a real-time sell sheet where every bit of information and content that is shown can be updated in real time. You can play a personal video pitching your product. You can list off all of your SKUs that you want that customer to see with multiple images that can be downloaded onto your desktop. You can filter for distributors that have your availability in your codes. And as soon as I send you, a customer, a buyer, an operator, distributor, the link to my sell sheet, whether you click on it today, tomorrow, or 6 months from now, you're always going to get the most accurate, up-to-date information no matter what. So, long answer to your question, dynamic sell sheets are our kind of star feature that we have today that brands are using out in the wild. They're using it in a retail space. So sending this to category managers. They're using this in the food service space as something that folks are walking into operators, giving them the deliverable of that dynamic sell sheet and actually having action being taken from those sell sheets. And they're managing it all on Everydoor in one spot.
Okay. Now, what if I threw out a challenge at you? What about that salesperson who's old school? Yeah, they love they love to have their printed out point of sale sheet. It's got all the information they need on there. And now this is, the dynamic sell sheet. How can that person who's used to doing it one way now use this way?
Yeah. So let's take that person. I'm imagining, no matter how old school this person is, I imagine they have a phone. They have a phone that they're using for email, and they're probably texting folks as well. Now, to prepare for that meeting that they're going into for this operator, they have to print out this sell sheet somehow. Somehow they got to get it in their hands, right? So maybe they're they're going into their SharePoint or Dropbox or fishing through their email. They're going to download it onto their desktop. They're going to send it to their printer. They're going to print it out, and then they're going to put it away in a folder somewhere where they can deliver it to the operator. That's well and great, but in my mind, that's wildly inefficient. All they need to do with Everydoor is walk into that operator, and they can either text them this sell sheet from their phone. They can send it via email from their phone. And now, no matter what, whether that operator needs a distributor code, whether they need a case pack, whether they need an updated version, your job is now done because it's always going to live within that one link. So yeah, the status quo of printing out and walking in is what people are used to. But when you unpack it, it's actually wildly inefficient, especially in a time when we've got self-driving cars and AI seems to be taking over every job function. I think we can do a little bit better.
That's what I find very interesting about what you're doing is I feel like the food service industry, in my experience, since I started in 2015, it's been a lot of, this is how we've always done it. And this is how it's always going to be, that old school. Sure. There's kind of there's like a lot of that raw around it. And it's almost like a badge of honor to go out there and do it the way that it's always been done. But you're really taking this idea and disrupting an industry, which I find is one, it's not easy to do. How have you felt the reception has been towards Everydoor?
I'll start with the customer side because that's the most important, right? At the end of the day, customers need to get value from receiving a dynamic sell sheet. So on the customer, no one enjoys walking a trade show floor and collecting hundreds of paper sell sheets, bringing that back to their desk at their office, and then trying to sort through all of those brochures and sell sheets. That's not something that people, there you go. No one enjoys that. And then, okay, you're interested in the product. Now I got to find the right contact information, send them an email. I got to request a sample somehow. It's just not a way people process people enjoy. So when it comes to category managers, buyers, operators, distributors, having it all in one spot on one link that they can access all of the information that they need. They can even request a sample now, a feature that we're rolling out. We just made their lives wildly easier and more efficient. So again, most important is the customer. We just made their lives easier. Not to mention, honestly, I'll add something that we've seen too. There's no standard sell sheet or one pager in any industry. It's kind of open to your interpretation. So if you're an operator and you want to know, hey, what's the shelf life of this product? Get your magnifying glass out and good luck finding that piece of information. But with ours, it's in the same spot every single time, no matter what brand has sent it to you. Now,
no. I've got a side question. Keep going.
Yeah, sure. And then I'll answer when it comes to brands. To be able to have control over what customers are seeing has been invaluable. You know, you can spend a ton of time and a ton of internal bandwidth creating a beautiful customized sell sheet that's a PDF. But at the end of the day, how can you ensure that your customer is receiving the most accurate, up-to-date information always? And that's how we deliver for our brands. And then kind of between those distributors and brokers, you got, many brands, many products to manage and to sell. What does it look like to have everything, again, under one roof, one link to really gain efficiency internally as sales organizations? So across the gamut, we're seeing, of course, there are people who are digging their heels in a little bit and saying, I want to print off black and white copies and do how I've always done. But for the most part, people are seeing that this is where the industry is going and where it needs to go.
Earlier today, we call it a level 10 meeting. We do one with each one of our departments. And earlier we did customer service. And so every week we meet with the team and we're talking about, in our office, we have a full-blown point of sale rack. And there's probably hundreds of slots. We've got a book that has all of the printout as well.
Yeah.
And, when I was first started in the business, they were doing a lot of, inbounding of point of sale, putting it onto the shelf. It was funny in our meeting today, they were saying, well, what's kind of happened with all the point of sale? I feel like people don't really send point of sale anymore. And I said, yeah, we can ask for it, but it's kind of really become a thing of the past. It's a cost. Environmentally, there's brands
Sure.
out there that don't want to,
Environmentally, for sure.
jeopardize anything environmentally. And so it's really become digital. So, you're creating a better model, a better way to go to market with what you're doing, from what it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Nick. I mean, it's one of those things where, why is it need to be done the way it's done? Why, this point of sale, these PDFs, these one-pager sell sheets that, again, are driving growth for brands, for brokers, for distributors. It doesn't need to be so clunky. We can create technologies that gives everyone time back in their day while also delivering just a better experience for everyone. Information within a click, within a tap, better storytelling for brands, and better access to actionable information like codes and samples and things that can really drive growth without needing to invest much time or resources.
Tell me about the sample part. What is that rollout going to look like?
Yeah, so we're again digging more into the way brands and their partners are selling today. Okay, let's take a trade show as an example. I'm a category manager. I'm an operator. I'm walking the trade show. I'm interested. I grab a sell sheet and then maybe someone's card. I go home or I go to my office and I want a case or a handful of units of that sample. I'm searching for that contact information. I'm sending them an email. I'm hoping it doesn't go to spam. It's just a wild process. Why shouldn't I, while I'm walking a trade show, scan a QR code, have the dynamic sell sheet on my phone, and just as I order groceries or an Uber, I can order a sample of the products that I want from my phone, from my desktop, and it's the same every single time. So that feature is going to be rolling out in the next couple of weeks, and what's going to happen is you as a brand can set permissions. You can say when an operator submits a sample request, not only will the brand get that request, but also if your broker partner is involved, they'll get that as well, as long with the confirmation from whoever's requested it. More and more, we're going to be building features to help with tracking, to help with management, but we're really looking at the sales process for CPG brands and how do we take just the manual stuff and bring some thought and some beauty to it. And samples are kind of the next in line.
Yeah, that's an interesting beast is samples. And I had actually, on my last episode, I invited Joel Robbins, who's the president of a company called Taste Specific. And part of his model is around samples. And what he has some sort of warehouse, and that's SQF certified and all of that. He has the products come in to him, and he can break up the samples. Let's say it's a box of 100 units.
Love it.
He can break it down into 3 units, put it into a box with some dry ice, and send it out anywhere it needs to go at an affordable rate. And he's saving brands like 25 to 35%.
So smart.
And I'm like, the sample part, especially on the broker side, I would imagine the manufacturer side, even the distributor side, it's costly, financially costly. Same thing with time. Takes a lot of time.
Sure.
For me to go from LA to Orange County, that's at least an hour, no traffic.
For sure.
Or if I have if one of our team members has to drive to our office, pick up the sample, then take it out, it's very cumbersome to do that. And I've always thought too, and it sounds like you're building a way to fulfill this need, is at a food show. It's so hard to plan the food show, set it up, work it all day long on your feet, 8 hours, take it all down, bring it all back, put it all back on the shelves. And then you have all of the work that you missed for the last couple of days. Then you have to follow up with those customers.
Yeah.
Can I just follow up with them right there, then at the show, and just have a sample sent directly to them?
100%. 100%, man. Same thought here. It's again, the way things are being done, the way they've been done, needs to be challenged. And especially during these times too. When folks need to do more with less, teams are staying lean. they're leaning on partners like brokers and distributors more to drive growth. You got to enable them. You got to enable them in a way that is manageable and makes sense. And it can't be so manual. It can't be like how everyone's done it in the past. So yeah, absolutely. I think what Joel's doing is brilliant. And kind of we're really going to be the front end of that, of how do you request it in a really streamlined, simple way. And then folks like that are a great resource to fulfill.
Totally. Yeah, I should connect you both. I think that would be an interesting, that'd probably be a great partnership between the two. I mean, you guys, if you could solve that whole equation for a brand, or especially a broker, I mean, you could be very successful. Awesome. Have you ever considered the thought, it just popped into my head here. I think this would be a very, you can make a lot of money with this idea. And the idea would be access to a distributor. And what I mean by that is you can go out and any sales rep and a manufacturer, broker can go out into the trade, into their own marketplace, present an item, and whatever distributor that operator uses, the broker or the manufacturer can place an order directly with the distributor, as opposed to going through the distributor sales rep.
Yeah. You better believe it's where we want to go. As you can imagine kind of our evolution, right? Of like, let's start with just the stuff that's kind of at the very beginning of this interaction, right? When it comes to information, when it comes to knowledge and training and sell sheets, let's get all of that information out of the manual process. Then let's make sure that action can be taken, like distributor codes, like availability, like sample request. And then, absolutely. I mean, why wouldn't you be able to order from these as well from your distributor? So I love it, man. I think that's the dream for sure.
Where do you want to take this company? What is, what is your, what are they called? The BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal?
Yeah. My dream for this, I'm very focused on this tool of a dynamic sell sheet, but Everydoor is a lot more than that. It's a platform that helps supports brands and their partners to do more with less and grow. But the dynamic sell sheets are really a way to get in the door. My big hairy audacious goal is, let's say, maybe not this year National Restaurant Association show, but maybe next year, walking down the aisle and every single booth, and no one has printed off a sell sheet. Every single booth has a QR code that points everyone in the industry to their dynamic sell sheet on Everydoor. Business is flowed through Everydoor. I don't care if you're a manufacturer, if you're a broker or distributor, that's where it starts. And the same can be true in retail, at Expo, at Unify shows. If you're selling, it starts on Everydoor.
I think you could do it. I'm sure you've done some research on the market. How many manufacturers are there out there?
It's a tough. Yeah, we have numbers. It's tough, right? Because new ones pop up every single day. When you talk about consumer packaged goods, where do you really draw that line, right? When it comes to if we're just talking about natural brands, we're at around 10,000. When you grow into more conventional, you're up to the 30,000s. This is just US. This isn't Canada or international. So there's certainly a big market just here in the US if you're just looking at food and beverage in retail food service. I'm sure those numbers have been updated, but from what we've been able to find, we're around the ballpark.
And I'm just curious, how are you able to build all of this?
Yeah, man. We similar to this is one of the things I learned from my brother is you can start something, you can have the idea, you can have the vision, but at the end of the day, you need folks on your team that are far smarter than you are. So I got an amazing team here at Everydoor of developers, of technical talent who are building product every single day. So I got smart folks on our team, and one of the things that I do is talk to smart people like you of getting in conversations with people who are driving this industry forward. What do you need? What problems are you seeing? How can I help you? You listen to any startup podcast, right? It's first start off with customer interviews, whether you're talking to your friends and family, whether you're just picking people's brain off of LinkedIn of what problems are you seeing? Here's what I'm thinking about building. Could this help you? If it could, what else would you want to see? So I'm kind of collecting the data. I'm setting things in motion, and I've got a team here that's helping me build it.
That's awesome. A few months ago, I had a gentleman on my podcast. His name is Scott Embringham, and he was not in the food service industry. He was in the automotive industry, and he had built his company up to 10 million. And it was really based around just a handful of auto brands. And nearly overnight, he lost all of the business. He had a $500,000 line of credit that had to be paid off. He lost all of his business. And so he had an advisor or a coach. And the guy says, you're not solving enough problems for people. So within 18 months, he found all of the problems that his customers had and reinvented himself, reinvented his company. In 18 months, he got back to $10 million in the sales, paid that $500,000 line of credit off. And the moral of his story was, the more problems I solve for others to make their lives easier or their work lives easier, the more money I'm going to make. And it sounds kind of, you're going down that path.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. There's a lot of problems to solve in this space. And we are laser lock focus on this industry of consumer packaged goods. Laser lock focus. If you're a manufacturer, if you're a broker, if you're a distributor, you can find tools up and down the aisle that are kind of the be all for everyone. There's not a ton that is saying, I'm going to solve your problem. You are selling a food product into food service or retail. I built this for you. So we're laser lock focused on this industry, on solving problems that have gone overlooked, that honestly may not be sexy when you first look at them, right? They're like, who wants to solve that? We'll raise our hand and solve it, because at the end of the day, like I started, of how do we help brands do more with less, get more efficient, and build businesses that are lasting. And that's what we're doing.
Do you see, or maybe it's already part of what you're doing, artificial intelligence being a part of your company?
Yeah. I mean, we're of course looking at it. We're thinking about AI, and we want to do it in a way that makes sense, that's thoughtful, that's not kind of just checking the box because everyone wants to be in AI. So we're looking at a couple of things that we can build into our product that would be truly helpful, not just something that's another chatbot. So to come, but again, when we roll something out, it's gonna fit. It's gonna make a lot of sense.
What advice would you give to your younger self coming out of college? You had your baseball background, someone who's smart, driven, wants to be successful. It could be in the food industry or anywhere. What advice would you give to them, or maybe give to yourself back then?
Bet on yourself. It's something I got to remind myself every day. You got to bet on yourself. You can, it's good to be humble. It's good to put your head down and work. But at some point you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm betting on you. We're going to take a jump. We're going to take a leap together, and whatever comes our way, we're going to smile and be thankful for it, because, it's us. It's something that, it's an emotional one for me, Nick. It's been a dream of mine to be an entrepreneur in the very beginning, and I wanted to do it in a way that was in a time where I was ready, and something that made sense, that I felt that I could bring a ton of value. And I have an incredibly supportive wife who reminded me to bet on myself, who was in times when maybe I wouldn't have, she ensured that I would. So I guess a second piece of advice to that would be to find a partner who also believes in you, to be there and to to be pushing you.
I don't know if you've ever read the book. It's called Millionaire Next Door. And the author, he surveyed or interviewed, I think it's like thousands of people who were in the millionaire category. And the top 5 most common reasons as to why that person had become a millionaire or achieved millionaire status was because of a supportive partner, kind of as you're alluding to. Yeah.
And I believe it. Man, I believe it. It's I tell her if whatever happens with Everydoor or anything else, if I even write a book that never becomes published that I just have in a drawer somewhere, she's the first chapter, because there would be no story without her. Couldn't agree more with that.
Looking far into the future, when you're all said and done in this industry, what are the things you will want to have accomplished? Yeah,
what's wild to think about that, because I feel like I've just tipped my toe into it. But at the end of the day, I am passionate about helping good brands who are trying to make an impact, who are driven by a mission of a greater good. And if we can bring more automation, more beauty, more storytelling to them and help them grow, help them take on conventional categories, help them take on incumbents, and really look back and say, the software, the tools that we brought to this industry have helped good products grow and enter the marketplace and be here to stay. I feel pretty good about that.
For the people who are listening and want to learn more about Everydoor and potentially partner with you, what's the best way to connect with you, or what's the best way to connect with Everydoor?
Yeah, do a couple of things. You can add me on LinkedIn, Jordan Tetrick. You can go to everydoor.co. You can book a demo. Most likely it's going to be me who's on a demo call, so I'd happily take you through the platform. Or shoot me an email, jordan@everydoor.co. Whether that is a potential partnership, whether you're a manufacturer, whether it's just to connect and see if there's something we could do together, be happy to hear.
Fantastic. Jordan, thank you for, I can feel your vision, and I know you've got your sights set on some big things in the future. So I commend you and look forward to watching you on your journey. And thank you for joining me here on the Titans of Foodservice podcast.
Thank you for having me.